welcome back. Sorry for the interruption. We've been having computer problems, both Sam's computer and my computer. So I think it's time to get online and find some new equipment. Anyway, welcome back. We'll pick up where we left off with Sam wrapping up the discussion of Mythmash. We played this at the Dice Tower West, just really the entire time, and got a great response for it. It's a fun game, and it's nicely balanced between you don't it's quick to learn, and yet the more you play it, you kind of develop strategies for it. So it doesn't get boring, and the catch-up mechanic is really cool because it always keeps the other player in the game. So I will let Sam step back behind the camera here, and I'll man the chat, and we'll
mess with these camera settings for a second.
Messing with the camera settings, so I've got to stall. Okay, I did notice that Travis mentioned the play war game, and if time allows, I will show you where we're at with that. I feel kind of bad because Sam's games are all Sam's the graphic designer, and his games look all spiffed up and sharp. I'm not the graphic designer, so my games look kind of dull and are sort of in the the scrap paper phase in many ways. So there is that contrast. So don't expect Mythmash graphics for the war game that we'll show you if I have a chance to get to it. All right, I'm gonna get it back from away from the microphone, give it to Sam, and I'll be back in a couple of minutes. I'll take it. Okay. So well, sorry about that, everybody. Yeah, I think we've seen enough of Mythmash. I forget where we left off even, so I'm not going to try to jump back in and re-explain. If you want to see how this game plays, there's lots of coverage of it over on my Twitch channel and YouTube channel. If you want to find all of that, just go to sp1cy.com. You can find most of these games there, or you will be able to find most of these games there very soon. So I'll go ahead and pick up Mythmash. I gotta get a new computer. Keith and I were just talking about that. We both gotta get new computers. That's like the third or fourth time now that it's done that to me, which is pretty annoying. So, let's go ahead and pick all this up again real quick. And the next game, put the lid back on this. Cool box. I love this box. What a great sized box. All right. What should we do next here? Let's do this. Cards with shapes. 8 minutes.
8 minutes on the clock. So this is called Cards with Shapes, and if you'd believe it, there's cards and they have shapes on them. This is a very simple game, but I think you'll see that there's quite a bit of depth here as well. This is, once again, a multiplayer game. All of the games that I'm showing tonight are for more than just one person, so I'll do my best to demonstrate just by myself here, but keep that in mind. I should also mention before we get into this that this game is kind of in the process of being rethemed. I have a couple different directions that I'm thinking of going in with it. One of them is like just the same name, Cards with Shapes, just in a different sort of style. More timeless, classic, not quite so vintage 80s VHS tape looking card backs. And then the other one is like a burger game. I'm going to call it Rad Burger, or the idea is to call it Rad Burger. And I don't have time to explain what those two rethemes would look like. I'm just going to explain the game as is, and we'll go from there. So these are the cards, and as promised, here's shapes. Literally, that's all there is. It's just cards that have shapes on them. Some of the cards have one shape, some of the cards have two shapes, and some of the cards even have three shapes on them. There's 8 different shapes in the game, and your goal is to collect. You'll score points by being the player at the end of the game with the most of any given shape. So at the end of the game, we count up our cards. If I have the most circles, I score a point for that. If you have the most squares, you score a point for that. That's all there is to it. There are 2 special shapes that do not score you points directly. There are X's and there are stars. So stars do not score you points, but will instead be the tiebreaker. And there are frequently ties in this game because there's only 6 points up for grab each game. So if we're tied at the end of the game, then whoever has the most stars will win off of that tie. But if you're not tied, stars don't do anything for you. And then there's the X's. So X's sort of work in the opposite way that all the other shapes do, where whoever has the most X's at the end of the game will lose a point. So you don't want to take an X, but sometimes it's worth it. If you've got, if you're trying to make a set of hexes here, and this is the only hex available on the table, then you might consider picking this up to complete your set. And that's a good segue into talking about what the actual gameplay of this feels like. So I'll give it a quick shuffle. And all that happens in this game is there are 3 cards. We do flip 3 cards from the top of this deck onto the table. Let's not have 2 X's. That's a bad way to start. Okay, all the X's got put to the top, I guess. Let's try this one. There we go. So that's 3 hearts. We'll set these bonus cards off to the side as well. And now, every turn, all I'm going to do is just pick one of these cards from the middle of the table and put it in front of me in my tableau. Okay? And then it's the next player's turn, and they do the exact same thing. We replace this card. They choose any of them. Maybe they take this one. Flip over. Next player, ooh, they like this, that has a circle and a diamond on it. They're going to take that. So on and so forth. So if at any point I take a card, let's say I have these 2 cards already, and now I take this, I will take not only this card, okay, so once I have a set of hearts, this would be a set of hearts for me, I will take up all of my hearts, and I'll put them in a pile, and I'll set them off to the side, and these are mine to keep now. I will also take all of the hearts that everybody else has at the table. So if maybe he had that card, for example, I finish my set of hearts here, I will take this card from my opponent, and that card belongs to me now. So all these cards get set off to the side, face down. You can't look at them again, but you can kind of try to remember what other people have. And now I'm starting over again on my next turn, taking a new card. One last thing is that whenever I take a card from somebody, whenever anybody takes a card from somebody, they get one of these bonus cards as sort of a, you know, to make up for it. So on this player's turn, they can spend this bonus card to take an additional card from the market. And they can hold on to it for as long as they want to, but you don't score any points with them at the end of the game. You want to spend it. You want to find a good time to spend it and spend it.
Move those top cards down a little bit.
I'm moving the top cards down a little bit.
There you go. Perfect.
Okay. So that's really all there is to it. I will, I guess, play through the rest of this sample game. I've got 3 minutes, it sounds like. So I just took my turn. This player takes their turn. They're thinking, okay, I've got a square here. He also has a square. There's not another square available for me to take. So maybe I'll take this circle. So that even if he finishes his squares, I can maybe steal this circle card from him. Now it's this player's turn. They see a diamond available. They'll go ahead and take this. Maybe they'll try to take diamonds now instead of circles, since this guy's got a circle. It's back to me. It doesn't really super matter what I do. I could take the star.
Yeah.
I'll take the star. So whenever you take a card that just has a star on it, since you'll never complete a set of stars, you just put it face down in your pile, and that's yours to keep now. So I've got a star. That's good. It's this player's turn. He sees the square. Obviously, he's going to go for that. Flip this over. Oh. Okay, now this is kind of a risky play because they could take this card. That's got 3 shapes on it. If they're able to complete this set of squares, that's big points, because not only is it going to count towards squares, these will also count as hexes and hearts during scoring at the end of the game. However, if this player has a square available to them when it's their turn, then they're going to get both of these square cards. And now they're in a really good spot moving forward. So just for the sake of fun, we'll go ahead and say that they gamble and take this. I flip this card over. Well, it's not this player's turn yet. I still have to take my turn. And
I can't see your cards.
yeah, I don't have any cards right now. Keep in mind they also had a bonus card to spend here. So they could think about maybe doing that, but I don't think they will. So now it's my turn. I'll take the hex, I think, in hopes of maybe stealing this hex later down the line. Flip this over. Okay, wow, and it really worked out for this player. So they would take this card. and they would get this card and this card, because they all have squares on it. They get every other card at the table that has a square on it. And they would take all of these and put them face down in a nice little pile over here. And now this player gets a second bonus card. So they've been robbed a couple times now, but they have 2 bonus plays stashed away for later that they're going to make some kind of a big comeback with in a bit, I'm sure.
Explain the scoring. You're just
Okay, so yeah, 30 seconds left. Explain the scoring of the game. If we were to score the game as it was right now, let's say this player has a couple of cards. We would just flip over. We look at all of our cards that we have, and we would go down the list of shapes. So we'll start with circles, and we just say, okay, how many circles does everybody have? So I've got 1 circle in my hand. This guy's got no circles, and he has, we'll say he has no circles. So I would get a point for that. Right now we're just keeping track of the points with these little bonus cards, flip it upside down to indicate a point. And then we just go down the list for all the other shapes, and circles, squares, diamonds, hearts, hexes, and one other shape that I forget now. But yeah, that is Cards with Shapes. Work in progress. The game plays really well. Just kind of working out the theming and figuring out what I want to do with it. So that is that. Cards with Shapes. A lot of card games on the table tonight. It's kind of what's been occupying most of my design space lately. So, yeah, fun stuff. All right, I'll pick all this up and set it aside and get into our last game. Well, my last game. I think Keith has a couple more that he's going to get into once I'm done here. But the last game that we're going to show here is Mike Fitzgerald's Before the Tour. Now, a word of warning before we get into this. This is not the final game. This is not even representative of the direction that the game is heading in right now. Mike's hard at work cooking away at this, and he's sort of taking it in a different direction. But we have this nice package here that we showed at Dice Tower, and we thought it would be worth showing at least what the latest version of this game had looked like before we start making changes to it. So it says Before the Tour on the sleeve right now. I don't think that's going to end up being the name of it. We're still kind of in the working title stage. Battle of the Bands obviously was the first one. We may go back to that. I think that's kind of the direction we're leaning right now, is going back to Battle of the Bands. But before I spend all night talking about the title of this game, let's move on to what's inside of the box. So inside of the box, we have a few things here. There's a board, first of all. We've got some score sheets that we will set aside for now. Some tokens, and of course, cards. So that's all the stuff here. Go ahead and crack these open and show you what the cards look like. So there are 2 types of cards in this game. There are talent cards, which represent, musical artists that play in various different positions in your band and cover various different genres of music. They have genres of music that they can play, that they know how to play. And then there are song cards, which are pretty straightforward. I think they just have... Yeah, so some of them will have... Do they all have? Yeah, so all of these cards have 2 genres on them. We'll get into how these work here in just a second. It's also been a while since I've played this game, so you'll have to forgive me if I make some mistakes or get a little confused as we go through this. So we got this big fat deck of talent cards. Look at all these cards. Oh my gosh. I think it's like 120 or something. So I'll give that one quick shuffle. That's one of the changes that Mike's making, is whittling down the deck a bit so that it's not quite so unwieldy. Shuffle it once more. Actually shuffles pretty well, all things considered. And then we've got these song cards. So the game starts by everybody taking a song card, and this is their, call it their secret song, their encore song, something like that. Let's say we have 3 players playing this game. We also need to set up these tokens on the board here. Hopefully you're able to see all of this. I'm going to do my best to keep things on camera, but it can be tough sometimes. So we're going to set this cube on the 3 marker. I don't know if you can see that. This board has a set of numbers on it that indicates where you start the track, depending on the number of players that you have. Since we have 3 players at the table, we'll set the cubes on the 3 space. So you start the game with a song. Everybody's going to get dealt, I think, 7 cards. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I know that's not how you're supposed to deal cards. It should go one by one, but that's just faster. So we're playing for speed tonight. So after everybody's got their hand, they're going to have a look at it, and they'll have the chance to put down one musician from their hand, one talent card, as a founding member of their band. So they get to play it for free. They don't have to pay the cost. I should talk about what's on these cards real quick. So each card has really 3 things going on. They have a position. Well, they have a name, but the name doesn't matter. They have a position, they have a cost, and they have genres and points that they score for each of those genres. So the position tells you what instrument they play. You can only have one of each position in your band. You can't have 2 guitarists. The cost tells you how many other cards you have to discard from your hand in order to pay for this card, in order to play this card during your turn. And then the genres will tell you how many points that musician scores for you when that genre is played. So every round, we will flip over one card from this song deck, and these are the genres that will perform at the end of the round. So this round, it's folk and country. So Jay Park might be a good guy to add to my band since he has 2 points in country. We actually wouldn't flip over one of these for the founding member round. We would just be looking at our secret song card. So I see that I'm trying to get rock and dance, and nobody else knows that, but I know that. So Jay Park is still actually an even better candidate for that since he has 3 points in rock. So I'll go ahead and play him. We'll say he's my founding member. Look at this person's hand. I'll just make quick decisions here. They have rock and R&B as their thing. So here's 2 R&B. Might as well play that. Actually, here's 3 rock. Oh, and it's a diva too. That's fun. We'll get to show you what that means here in a second. And then finally, this player wants rock or pop. So let's see what they've got. Here's 3 pop. That's fine. They'll play that as their founding member. Okay, so everybody's played their founding member now. Everybody's got their secret song. Now it's time to actually start playing. So we start each round. I'm the starting player for this round. It's going to rotate around the table as we play. And each round we flip over a song card. And this is, like I said, the 2 genres that we're going to be competing for at the end of this round. So I want folk or country in my band. And now it's my turn. I start every turn by drawing a card from the top of this talent deck. And now on my turn, I can play as many cards as I want from my hand, as many musicians as I want. Of course, I have to be able to pay the cost to play them. And then once per turn, I can make one move on this pull some strings chart. So when I make a move on the pull some strings chart, I choose any one of these 4 tracks. I do the action that it says on the track. So if this says take a discarded talent card, I could do that. And then I move it up 1 on the track. So as you move up the track for these options, the powers available to you become stronger. So every time that you take an action, you're opening it up for your opponent to take an even stronger action later on in the game, or for yourself to take a stronger action, because you'll, of course, be able to take that same action on your next turn if you want to. But you only get 1 per turn. So
run down what the categories do.
Yeah, so I'll run down what the categories do. Good idea. There's recruit, rehearse, make a call, and instigate. So recruit just draws you cards, draw 2 cards, and then it moves up to 3 and 4, and then in the last one you draw until you have 8 cards in your hand. Super powerful. Rehearse lets you reduce the cost of a card in your hand. So it starts out at reduce the cost by 2, then goes to 3, and then it says play a card for free, and then finally it says play 2 cards for free. Huge. Make a call lets you take cards from the discard pile. So those would be cards that other players or yourself have discarded in order to pay the cost to play other members to their band. Starts at 1, moves all the way up to 3, and then finally there's the instigate chart, which lets you make diva rolls. So like I said, divas are really interesting. We all know what a diva is. Every band has them. Not every band has them, and not every band in this game will have them. But when you have a diva in your band, they sort of represent a volatile talent. So they're usually pretty good at performing, and they have the potential to climb even higher. They can earn these hot tokens that will make them perform even better. But they also have the potential to storm out of your band or cause all kinds of other drama. They can get married to other, well, I guess it's not married anymore. They have romance with other members of your band, which is always fun. And yeah, so we'll get to that in a second when this player takes their turn. Almost to the 2-minute warning. I've got a bunch of divas in my hand too, so maybe I want to play around with that. I'm looking for folk or country. Okay, so yeah, so Cleo Montero has country. I'll play Cleo Montero down, and I have to discard one other card in order to do that. We'll get rid of Morgan Dawn. She costs a lot to play down, and I'm not going for dance, I don't think, anytime soon. So I've done that, and maybe I want to play one more. Let's see, I got a lot of this. This music note symbol is the variety symbol. I got a lot of that in my hand. So maybe I'll play Dennis Carr. All right, there's the 2-minute warning. I have to discard somebody else to play him, so I'll discard that. And then maybe I'll draw 2 cards for my action. So I'll take 2 more cards to my hand, and then that'll be the end of my turn. Now it's this player's turn. They've got a diva in their band. So let's get some support up around that diva, maybe. They'll play Connor Vaught. They got to discard 1 to do that. And then maybe... Chris Page is pretty good, but they don't really have the cards to do that. Okay, so we'll do... they'll draw some cards as well. They'll draw 3 cards now with the recruit action. Oh, you know what? Actually, that's boring. Let's do the rehearse action. Reduce the cost by 2. So they're going to play... where's that guy that they just had? Chris Page. So they'll play Chris Page. He actually has the anything position, so he can cover any position, and he contributes 3 points to pop wherever he is. And we've reduced the cost on him by 2, so he's normally 4, but he's only going to be 2 because we did our rehearse action. And so they'll be into this player's turn. And real quick, we'll just rehearse. We'll do the performance because we're almost out of time here. So it would start with me, and all I do is just add up all of my points for country. Yeah, so I pick one of these genres that we're working with, and obviously I want country because I got the most of that. So I got 2 points from Jay Park, 1 point from Cleo Montero, and 2 points from Dennis Carr. That's 5 points. However, they're both divas, so I have to make a diva roll. It's actually a diva draw now. I get this diva chart. So whenever a diva performs in your band, you have to flip over the top card of the talent deck, and then something's gonna happen based on what you flip. So I flipped a keyboard, which means that my diva gets hot. So that's awesome. That means that the Cleo Montero is going to score an extra point every time she performs now, and she keeps that hot token for future rounds, so she's going to continue to grow in strength. So I actually score 6 points for country. And now let's look at Dennis Carr. He's a diva as well. Let's see. Position, it's a guitar. Okay, so that's romance. So he basically, I don't have time to explain this, but he will... enter into romance with one of the other members of the band. We'll say him and Cleo Montero are romancing.
But it might not end well.
There's it's always a risk adding romance to your band. It introduces more opportunity for things to go south, shall we say. So that is Before the Tour, Battle of the Bands, working title, Mike Fitzgerald's band game. And I think that's about all the time I have here, so I'm going to...
We'll have it at the con.
We'll have it at the con, Keith wants me to say. We will have it to play at the convention, and it'll be even better than this. Mike's been hard at work at it, so look forward to that. And that's all the time I have, so I'm going to hand it back over to Keith.
All right, looks like it's my job to pick up this mess. Oh my gosh. All these cards. Let me just get this out of the way so we can move on. The theme, the look of these cards was sort of patterned after Spotify. So if you sort of thought, this kind of looks familiar, that would be why. We've moved in a lot of different... We really have been moving forward. I was just going to say we moved in a lot of different directions. That's really not accurate. We've really been moving forward and kind of dialing in the whole, music performance theme, and it's really fun and really cool. I like the way it has developed. We'll be meeting with Mike here in the next couple of weeks to have our latest brain session on this game, and we're very much looking forward to that. All right, that should be off. Okay, so I've got 2 more games. I'm probably going to go into overtime, but I'll keep it brief. I saw a number of comments about the war game. I'll go ahead and show you what I've got with that, and then we'll wrap it up with if there's time. I think we'll have to go into overtime because we had our crash. Again, please bear with me on the lack of graphics. If these games ever come to fruition, they will be they'll look like before the tour. Right now, though, it's pencil and paper and basic scratch design. So this is a game that is based on the British attack using ferry swordfish aircraft on the Italian port of Taranto in 1940, and it is basically the precursor to Pearl Harbor. The Japanese saw this and saw the results of it, and kind of filed it away for use about a year later in Hawaii. But the British did it first, and they had an aircraft carrier stationed. It was on a smaller scale, and it used much less efficient aircraft. They were basically using World War I aircraft. In World War II, they were ferry swordfish biplanes taking off from this aircraft carrier in the Mediterranean. But it was a surprise attack, and it was designed to try to cripple the Italian Navy. Now, I don't need to really go too much into depth on the historical background of this event. It seems like everybody in the war game hobby is very familiar with this battle, even though there aren't a lot of games on it, which is kind of surprising to me. But so that's one of the reasons why I've kind of worked on this. So the idea is you are controlling the British aircraft, the British fleet, and you're going to launch these aircraft from the aircraft carriers in the middle of the night and try to take down as many targets as you can in the Italian port of Taranto. Now, we have 2 decks here. This deck here, a small deck, is your resource deck. This basically, I've done some research on the historical parameters of this attack, and this deck basically gives you the same number of aircraft, the same number of armaments, and the same sort of resources that the actual British Air Force had. I guess it technically would be the British Navy, because I don't think they really had air forces at that point. But it gives you essentially the resources that were at the disposal of the British Navy on that night. So you're going to shuffle this up, and you will. Now, again, I want to point out this is designed to be a game, not necessarily a sim. The idea is you want to recreate the feel of directing that attack and trying to take out as many Italian targets as you can. So the deck that you use here, you're gonna have 8 cards, and you'll deploy these resources in basically groups of four planes. The bigger cards here represent the different targets. There basically were destroyers, there were light cruisers, there were some targets on the ground, oil tanks, ground aircraft, and so on, battleships. And the idea is you want to do as much damage as you can as quickly as you can, then get out of there, get your planes all back to your aircraft. So you're going to shuffle these up, and this will randomize, and these are not in any particular. They're not identified with the actual identifications of the ships and targets that were actually in Taranto that night in 1940. They're just generic. Heavy cruiser 4 points, light cruiser 2 points. But the idea is the game would have the actual. I think the Andrea Doria was there, and a number of other notable Italian ships in the harbor. All right, so we'll shuffle these up. We're going to deal out 8, and hopefully we're going to get a mix of. Oh wait, we start with trouble. I haven't exactly decided how to apply trouble, but what I've settled on is you'll use you'll put a chip. Where are my chips? My chips are not in here. I need. Can you get me a bag of? I've got some yellow chips here. Let me have the blue chips too. I need the blue chips too. That'll be fine. We may not even get this far. Well, I will put one yellow chip on for damage. I'm just saying, if you draw trouble, you put a damage on an aircraft, and if you draw 3 troubles, it's game over. So there's we have an empty aircraft. We have a torpedo, flare, torpedo, empty aircraft. And this just goes away. So I'm going to put one of these damage tokens on one of these aircraft. So, and there's my 8 cards. All right, so looks like I got 5 planes and 3 weaponry. So I'm going to put my planes down here and decide how I'm going to arm them. These are all empty for now, and these are the things that I can put on them. I've got a torpedo, a flare, actually 2 torpedoes and a flare. The torpedoes were extremely valuable. Those are what you really wanted to land, because those did a lot of damage and would tear a big hole in the hull and would sink the battleships. So that was really what you wanted to do. There was quite a bit of procedures in place to prevent torpedoes from getting through to the battleships, but that was kind of the goal. So in this game, a torpedo will do 5 damage. Bombs will do 2 damage. I don't have a bomb card out here, but there are some. And a flare will create. Are you keeping time, by the way? Because I know I'm going to probably go over here. A flare will basically light up the harbor, and we've come up with a backdoor way of depicting the effect of a flare, which at first glance may seem a little bit weird. So if you successfully drop a flare, you'll add 1 health to each of your planes. The game it borrows from our Cowboys and Aliens game, where you have chips that represent health and chips that represent damage. The pilots have attributes; they're printed on the cards. And the targets will generate warlike effects like doom or chaos or almost 2-minute warning. Okay, I'm not going to do a very good job of explaining this game. So the idea is, let me just get right to it here. Because this game is still far away from really being finished. I'm gonna get my 4 aircraft out here, because if you have 4 aircraft, you get more dice. If you have two aircraft, if you have 1 aircraft, you get 3 dice. 2 aircraft, you get 4. 3, you get 5, and 4, you get 6 dice. I don't have any dice here either, so I need to get some dice. You need to hand me some, give me some white dice. I don't know where my package of dice went to. I must have missed it, left it out of there. Thank you. So I'm gonna have 6 dice here, because I've got 4 aircraft, and I'm going to assign these to the planes. First of all, I'm going to arm the planes. And so I don't really want to send out an empty aircraft, but in this case, I think I will. But I'm going to arm the other 2. I'm going to put a torpedo on this one. I'm going to put a flare on this one. I'm going to put a torpedo on this one, and he's going to just provide cover. All right. So I've got 6 dice to distribute. I want to hit the flare, which will give everybody extra health, which will allow them to go all in. They'll spend that health to increase the chances of their success. So a torpedo is, you have to roll a 1 or a 2 in order for the torpedo to hit. It'll do 5 damage if it does. For a bomb, you have to roll 1, 2, 3, or 4, and that'll do 2 damage. A flare is 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. for it to provide health for everybody. Now, if you go all in, if the pilot goes all in, you add 1 to that. So now a torpedo is 1, 2, or 3 to succeed. And the more dice you roll, obviously, the more likely it is that you're going to roll a 1, 2, or a 3, or whatever it is you need to roll. So just quickly, I'm going to put a flare on him. I only need probably 1 die because I am hopefully not to roll a 6. I'm going to save the other 5 dice. I'm going to distribute them as I want. By the way, this pilot is inexperienced, which could, come back to haunt him in certain battle scenarios. This pilot is lithe. He's not that strong. This pilot has courage, and this guy is also not I have weak on here. I'm going to come up with better terms for this. So let's go ahead and put. Let's see if we can get a torpedo on him. We'll use 3 on him, 1 on him, and he's just going to provide cover. So our first target is going to be a heavy cruiser. All right, so 1 minute left. All right, I'm just going to do this battle. We're going to wrap it up. We're going to drop the flare first. 1 through 5, we'll drop the flare. And it's successful. All right, so this guy's dropped his flare. We take that off. We're going to put a health on everybody, which basically allows them to it equates to having better vision. Except the guy that dropped it, he doesn't get it because he doesn't have anything. Okay, so we use this dice. Let's send that torpedo right now. We're going to roll all 3. We're going to roll, and we'll go all in, meaning that we will spend this chip. So I got to roll a 1, 2, or 3 on any of these dice. And look at that. I did not roll 1. I rolled 3 4s. That's bad. So what I'm going to do is, because he missed, I'm going to add this up. It's going to be a total of 12, which means all planes are going to take damage. That's not good. So the torpedo did not hit, and all the planes have to take damage. So that's going to take this off him, he takes a damage, and he takes damage. And now we're not looking so good. All right, so let's see if he can hit with his torpedo. Hopefully he can. But he doesn't. He's not going to go all in. And that's time. All right. He probably does not want to go all in. I could have him do that. I'll go ahead and have him do it. So 1, 2, or 3, and I hit. So that's going to do 5 damage. That's going to knock that heavy cruiser out, and the torpedo goes away. And these guys switch to empty. The torpedoes are gone. So we got 1 target out. We did take some damage. So now we would replenish our force with 4 new cards. They might be planes. They might be resources. I would decide whether I wanted to leave these guys hanging around or send them back to the carrier. If they take 3 damage, they're lost. And in real life, actually the British only lost 2 aircraft in that attack. So you would be going against history, seeing if you could do better than the British did. And so I probably would send these guys back and hopefully get new planes to replace them. So, and I would keep doing this. I would do this until the resource deck was gone, and then I would tally up my score, see how many ships I took out, how many planes I lost, how much damage I did to the to the port, and I would get a score, and that would tell me how good I did. And then if I didn't like the way I did, if I thought I could do better, I could play this game again. All right, so that's how Swordfish and Taranto, the Battle of Taranto. My working title for this is Taranto 1940, but it's a ways away. I wish I had more time to devote to developing it, but someday it's going to come together, and it will be fun to play, I think. I think it'll be. I think it'll be accessible. A war game that doesn't take extremely long to play, but will teach you a lot about the ins and outs of that battle. All right, our last game here.
How long do you want on the clock for this?
You're not going to put it on the clock?
How long do you want on the clock?
Oh, I don't know. Put 8 minutes. 8 minutes is good. This I call The Greatest Generation. Again, there's not much to it. There's a booklet. And there's some dice. It's a sort of an RPG light. So my wife and I, over the last year and a half or so, watched every episode of The Waltons, which of course was set in the 1930s, the Great Depression. I don't know if you're familiar with the show. It was quite a landmark show in the 1970s, and went for 10 seasons. And we watched every episode of it. We watched it transform from 1933. to 1946, post World War II. They got through the Depression, they got through World War II, and it was a neat look into that generation. What Tom Brokaw from NBC News, he wrote a book about it, called them the Greatest Generation, because you're born in the early 20s, late teens. They fought World War II. They went through the Great Depression, first of all, survived the Great Depression and the Dust Bowl and all that. Then they fought World War II, and then they fought the Korean War, and then came the space race, the atomic age, and then came space travel and computers, and all that within their lifetime was just an incredible a generation. They contributed in all facets, and so this game sort of pays tribute to them. It allows you sort of to answer the question: what would it be like if I'd been born in 1922? So it's a dice rolling game. We're planning to add a resource management component to it. For right now, though, it's light on that. I haven't finished that. Essentially, it's a booklet, and you'll roll dice to tell you the circumstances of your birth. You might be born in the lower class or middle class. You might be born in the north or the south. It will tell you that, and then it will take you through your childhood. You'll roll 2 dice. It'll give you like highlights of your childhood years, and it will also give you benefits, disadvantages, tragedies and successes. So you'll get your childhood. You'll see life as a teenager. What happened to you while you were a teenager. And then you'll go to your young adult years, your adult years, and eventually you'll get to your middle age, and then you'll get to your elderly years. And then the idea is that each of these will have a scoring value to it. So I've started out. I was alluding to our computer troubles. I actually had a different version of this, which used icons to indicate the various aspects of life. The blue would be like pleasure or entertainment. Green is economic. Red is empathy and love. Education is yellow, and purple is just sort of character. So the idea is you would have these repercussions in your life happening based on the color codes, and based on what's happening, you'll keep score for that. And at the end of your life, you'll add up your scores, and you can judge how your life was. If you roll doubles, so you'll roll 2 dice, the black one and the white one. The black is red first, the white is red second. And if you roll doubles, you have a chance. You have 2 options. You can either have a life change where you can hopefully move up into a higher class, or you can opt to forego that and simply turn all your any negative things that you have had in your life into positives. Let's just do a quick life real quickly, and we'll wrap up the show. So I'm going to roll here. I've got how much?
4 minutes.
Oh, this one, I can easily live a life in 4 minutes. So I am a middle class white, born in the northern. I'm born in Mukwonago, in 1922, to a middle class family. That's how I start out. Now I would roll these dice in the game aspect of it. I'd roll these dice, and I would have these at my disposal to swap out for any dice roll that I get that I don't like. And I would consider, if I wanted to swap this 6 in, it would be because of education that would have changed that. But we're gonna leave that out for now. We're just gonna go through the life without any kind of involvement or any kind of. There's no game to this. This is just gonna be sort of showing you how the flow works. So as a child, in the 20s. That's right. I am middle class, so I'm confident and well spoken, and I like to help around the house. As a child in the 1920s, so I would get a little love token there. As a teenager, I made my parents proud, and I won a civic contest, won some accolades that would give me civic points, since I'm doing pretty well. I'm one of those good citizens. Now it's World War II. It's the 1940s. I'm a young adult. I'm in my 20s, still in the middle class. And I'm serving in World War II. Sort of a routine job. Let's see what my World War II service role is. I joined the Marines. I was a Marine. And I served on the front line, and I might have been wounded, and I wasn't. I wasn't wounded, but I did serve. I did see battle in the Marines in World War II. Post World War II, I'm now in my 30s. The American dream in progress. I had a memorable vacation splurge, and of course there'd be mini charts that would go along with this, which would detail what that vacation was. I'm doing well. I'm now in my 40s, in the 1960s, still in the middle class, and my kids are giving me heartache. And I died. I died in the 40s. I had like a heart attack. Well, that's kind of unsatisfying. So there you go. Ideally, you like to live a little longer than that, but it does happen. So anyway, it causes you to. I like this game. I find it to be, in a way, sort of haunting, very thought-provoking. You sort of get involved with, wow, I was having a pretty good life there, and then suddenly it was cut short. What do I think about that? So it causes you to ask some questions, some personal questions, and I like that. I particularly I will like it better when things are fleshed out even better, and I know more of the details. But anyway, and the game element will impact that as well. I would be able to spend a die here to probably change that result, meaning I would eat healthier. If I wanted to spend, maybe my love die or my character die, and in a twist, using the die roll or the bonus dice, the idea would be if you had dice left over at the end of your life, that would count against you. That would be a negative. You would want to use your dice. It would be considered like missed opportunities. So that would be where the game would be, like managing your life, living it to the fullest, and then surveying it in the rearview mirror. So probably not everybody's cup of tea, but I think it's an interesting idea and a very thought-provoking concept for a game. As Sam has called it, like an RPG light. Nothing too deep. Not going to take you hours to play, but interesting and thought-provoking. All right, that's our show for tonight. Hope you enjoyed it. We always have fun doing it. Sorry for the computer crash. Next week, we're going to reveal the next vintage fictional baseball season for History Maker Baseball. Actually, there will be 2 surprise revelations next week. So be sure to join us for that, especially if you're a baseball fan, especially if you like our fictional baseball universe. We're piece by piece putting that together. And so you'll see a lot of familiar players in a new context with this new vintage fictional baseball season that we'll be presenting next Thursday night. A couple of quick notes before we go. I just sent out an email earlier today, an email update to everybody who signed up for Play.con 2024. So if you have signed up, check your inbox. If it's not there, check your spam folder. And if it's not there, please reach out to me, and we'll get you connected with all of the latest scoop on Play.con 2024. It's 2 months away, and it will sneak up on us faster than you know. Also, the convention merchandise just went live. Got a couple of your classic convention T-shirt in multiple colors, and we also put together a special soccer jersey commemorating the convention and the fact that we'll be launching Soccer Blast Express at the convention. We'll have a huge tournament, and so we thought we'd make some gear to reflect that. So we got a really cool, super cool soccer jersey that you can pick up on the site. All that went live yesterday. Hope you have a great weekend. Thank you so much for watching. Appreciate you being part of our community. We love all of you, and we don't take you for granted. Very much appreciated, and we're thankful to have you here with us tonight. And hopefully we'll see you again next week right here on the Play Games YouTube channel.